Marie Curie. Marie Curie. Focus question. Who was Marie Curie and how did she change the world of science? Trailblazer. At the time when few women were scientists, one woman's research and discoveries changed the world. She left her homeland to study science and math at a leading university. She followed her scientific interests even though the world seemed to block her way at every turn. She was the first woman to be awarded a Nobel Prize and the only person ever awarded Nobel Prizes in two different scientific fields. This groundbreaking scientist was Marie Curie. Early years. Marie Curie was born Maria Skolodowska in November 7, 1867 in Warsaw, Poland. She was called Mania as a child and was the youngest of 5 children. Their father taught math and physics at a boys' high school. When Mania was born, the part of Poland where her family lived was ruled by the Russian Empire. Loyalty to Poland put people's lives in danger. Mania's father lost his job in 1873 because he supported Polish independence. Mania's oldest sister died in 1876, and her mother died 2 years later. Mania was a bright, curious child and an outstanding student. She earned top honors when she graduated from high school at age 15 in 1883. Patience and preparation. Mania and her sister Borna wanted to continue their studies, but women could not attend the University of Warsaw. They would need to leave Poland but did not have enough money. The sisters attended Warsaw's floating university, free education offered in secret by Polish teachers. Although the classes were no match for the finest European universities, they kept Mania up to date on scientific discoveries. But sisters wanted to attend the Sorbonne in Paris, but they could not afford the tuition. They made a deal. Mania would earn money for Bornia's education, and Bornia would return the favor after earning her degree. Mania wanted as a tutor and governess for 5 years and studied science, literature, and other subjects in her free time. After helping her sister pay for her schooling, it was Mania's turn to attend. Paris at last. Mania moved in Paris in 1891 and enrolled at the Sorbonne. He took the name Mary, the French version of Maria at that time. 2 years later, she graduated first in her class with a master's degree in physics. The following years, she earned a second master's in math. Mary received a commission to study the magnetic properties of steel. She needed a laboratory for her research. Another scientist introduced her to a physics professor named Pierre Curie, who arranged for Mary to use some lab space where he worked. Over time, Mary and Pierre fell in love. They married in July 1895 and had a daughter, Irene, 2 years later. Mary was still very involved with her work. After finishing her research, she decided to earn a doctorate at the Sorbonne. 2 types of race. Mary needed a topic for her doctoral research. 2 important physics discoveries had been made not long before. In late 1885, Wilhelm Röntgen, a German physicist, discovered X-rays. Early the following years, French physicist Henri Becquerel discovered that the chemical element uranium also gave off rays, which were weaker than X-rays. Mary decided to study uranium rays. Mary began to study the effect of uranium rays on an ear by measuring barely noticeable electric currents in air that had been blasted with uranium rays. Mary arranged with Becquerel that uranium in any form gave off electricity and that more uranium gave off stronger rays. She also demonstrated that the rays were a property of uranium's structure, not just its physical or chemical state. In addition, she discovered that another element, thorium, gave off rays as well. The birth of atomic physics. During Mary's time, scientists knew about atoms, the smallest particles of things. However, they thought that atoms could not be broken down into smaller units. Mary's uranium research led her to discover that atoms store a huge amount of energy. That discovery changed scientists' understanding of atoms that had led to a new field of science, atomic physics. Mary kept testing materials to see which one gave off rays. She tested a mineral called pitchblende, which contains uranium. She found that it gave off more rays than could be caused by its uranium. She supposed that pitchblende must contain a second radioactive element, one that scientists didn't know about yet. In 1898, Pierre Curie joined Mary in searching for the new element. After much research, they discovered two new elements: polonium, named for Mary's homeland, and radium, from the Latin word for ray. Pierre also proved that radium's radioactivity could harm living flesh. His discovery opened the doors to treatments for cancer and other illnesses. Health concerns. Mary and Pierre were often ill while doing their research. It wasn't clear whether she was working too hard or radiation. Mary did not accept the idea that radiation was to blame, but today we know that it can cause illness and death. Achievements and recognition. Mary earned for her Doctor of Science in June 1903. She was the first woman in France to be awarded a doctorate and the first woman in all of Europe to be awarded a doctorate in science. Mary was the one in charge of the physics research she and Pierre did. Even so, she was almost passed over her for the Nobel Prize, one of the world's most respected awards, because she was a woman. Only Pierre Curie and Henry Becquerel were nominated for the 1903 Nobel Prize in Physics. When Pierre found out, she said it would be terribly unfair for Mary not to be included. Mary's name was then added to the list, and she and Pierre won together, along with Becquerel, in December 1903. The award recognized their pioneering work on radiation. It was the first Nobel Prize awarded to a woman. Curious instantly because the famous around the world. Pierre was given a better job at the Sorbonne, and Mary received a salary and became chief of laboratory. She was excited by the attention and new responsibilities. The Curies had a second daughter, Eve, in 1904. Around the same time, the Sorbonne gave the Curies a new laboratory to work in. Dark times and more fame. The Curies were trying their successes when tragedy struck. In 1906, Pierre was run over by a horse-drawn wagon and killed instantly. News of his death spread around the world. Mary was completely numb with shock, but eventually found the strength to keep going. She was given Pierre's the strength to keep going. She was given Pierre's teaching position at the Sorbonne and was the first woman to become a Sorbonne professor. Mary was awarded a second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, in 1911 for her work in radioactivity and her discovery of radium and polonium. She was the first scientist to be awarded two Nobel Prizes. To this day, she is the only person to be awarded prizes in two different areas of science. On the battlefront, World War I broke in late July 1914, and Germany attacked France just a few days later. Most of Mary's staff left to fight in the war, and her scientific research had to stop. Mary looked for ways to put her science to work to help the war effort. She provided portable X-ray machines for treating wounded soldiers of battlefields and set up more than 200 X-ray stations. She also learned how to use X-ray equipment and taught herself to drive so she could run the X-ray machines herself. Timeline on Marie Curie's life. 1867. Born in Warsaw, Poland, November 7th. 1883. Graduates from high school. 1891, moves to Paris to attend Sorbonne. 1893, earns master's degree in physics. 1894, earns master's degree in math. 1895, marries Pierre Curie. 1897, begins her study of Becquerel-Rays. Daughter Ellen is born. 1898, announces discovery of polonium and radium. 1903, earns doctorate in physics, awarded Nobel Prize in Physics. 1904, daughter Eve is born. 1906, Pierre dies, becomes Sorbonne's first female professor. 1911, awarded Nobel Prize in Chemistry. 1914, sets up a program of portable X-ray machines for use in World War I. 1918, World War I ends, opens Radium Institute. 1948, dies on July 4th. Later life. After World War I ended, Marie worked non-stop to turn the Sorbonne's Radium Institute into a world-class center for radioactivity research. Mary's daughter Irene and her husband were awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. In 1935, sadly, Mary didn't live long enough to celebrate with them. We now know that radioactive substances are very dangerous, but that was not known during Mary's life. She died at age 60, 6 on July 4th. 1934, from an illness often caused by being around radioactivity for a long time. Mary was buried next to Pierre in 1995. Their remains were moved to the Pantheon in Paris, where France's most brilliant citizens are buried. Mary was the first and only woman to be buried there for her own achievements. Gifts to the world. Marie Curie's work caused a huge shift in scientific understanding of atoms and led to no treatment in machine. It also led to the discovery of radiocarbon dating, a way to learn the age of ancient life forms. Mary showed that careful scientific research can yield amazing breakthroughs. She also showed the world how to stay strong in the face of difficult obstacles. In her words, life is not easy for any of us, but what of that? We must have perseverance and above all confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing must be attained.